This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South today, an increase in demand for vaccinations in Christchurch as another community case of Omicron is reported. The National Party's caucus retreat wraps up in Queenstown with immigration and tourism high on the agenda. And a 100-year-old World War II veteran receives a rare honour in Gore. Tēnā koutou katoa, kia ora, I'm Simon Anderson. Vaccination sites in Christchurch are gearing up to fight the next wave of COVID-19 with more staff and resources. There's been a surge in people getting the COVID-19 booster vaccine since the country moved into the red traffic light setting. And Christchurch sites becoming locations of interest has also given some people a push.
Cars, kids and pets have been lining up at the Christchurch Arena drive-through vaccination clinic, waiting for their turn to get the jab. More than 500 people a day are currently going through the clinic. 5 to 18-year-olds are now making up around half the number being vaccinated, with the workload increasing since a paediatric version of the Pfizer vaccine was made available to young children last month.
Today is the end of probably our busiest week of vaccinating. We've just not long started including paediatrics in our vaccination program here at the drive-through.
To cope with the increase in demand, the team have had to bring in more staff to ensure everybody gets attended to.
We're finding that the paediatrics are taking a bit longer, so unfortunately our wait time is a bit longer than it normally has been, but most people have been really patient with us.
And while fixed clinics and pharmacy vaccinations are also operating, Hogan says the drive-through model has proved popular with Cantabrians.
The model itself has changed from day dot. It's a moving process. We kind of change and adapt.
The Canterbury District Health Board is now looking at ways to make the COVID vaccine more accessible, especially for hard-to-reach people.
I believe that they're looking more into putting more vaccinators out into the outreach mobile, so we can reach more people that can't actually come to a drive-through or go to Orchard Road or get out to one of the other sites that we have. So that's the future. We'll see.
More than 1 million Kiwis have now received a booster vaccine, with public health experts saying the race is on to boost as many eligible people as possible before Omicron spreads further across New Zealand. In Christchurch, the South today.
Police dive squad members have recovered a man's body from a vehicle which plunged into the waters of Lake Dunstan near Cromwell yesterday. The dive squad arrived this morning after emergency services were called to the crash beside Deadman's Point Bridge shortly after 5 last night. There was no damage to the bridge along the state highway, with the ute and trailer appearing to miss the approach, crashing and plunging into the water. Police divers retrieved the man's body from inside the submerged ute at around 2 this afternoon. Colleagues and relatives of the missing man had gathered at the scene this morning, awaiting news on his appearance. Next of kin identified the victim after his body was pulled from the lake. The man was the sole occupant of the vehicle. The National Party's 2-day caucus retreat has wrapped up in Queenstown. Party leader Chris Luxon told MPs yesterday it's game on, with National today fleshing out plans to take on the government.
A fairly receptive audience for National Party leader Chris Luxon. Party representatives meeting with members of Queenstown's Chamber of Commerce and representatives of the travel and tourism sector today. Their visit, part of National's caucus retreat, with immigration proving a hot topic.
That's our thinking, which is that we have to get out of the box that we're in today, which is a fearful, inward, negative-looking space. And the first step that we can do is actually deal with this MIQ issue, because once we've unlocked that, then we can get to essential and critical workers, then we can get to tourists coming in.
The Chris and Christopher show, Bishop and Luxon, detailed more about the party's plans to open up the country for the tourism sector.
Lay out that pathway. The first thing we have to do is returning Kiwis would be helpful, would drive some domestic tourism ultimately. As Eric has said, being critical and essential workers, then obviously getting into Australians who are coming over here, I think would be pretty straightforward.
At what point can we have tourists that come for a shortened period of isolation? Because if you're looking at 7 days isolation, you know, that is clearly, some people would say, well, I'm not going to do that, right? It's too difficult. Why would I go to the country and do 7 days in a hotel room or an Airbnb or whatever? So we've got to get that time period down, shorter, and then ultimately, you know, even the prospect of trans-Tasman travel like we had in July last year.
The party's immigration spokesperson, Erica Stanford, took time to chat with Queenstown business people, wanting to find out what they need to recover.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel because we can see what Australia's doing. And we can do the same thing. We need to get those working holiday visa makers back to Queenstown as quickly as we possibly can.
The MPs took questions from the invited audience. Queenstown Lakes District Mayor Jim Bolt keen to know the party's plans for getting migrant workers back into the resort town.
Essentially what we're saying today is, look, we have to get out of where we are today and get ourselves on a pathway. And the first step on that pathway is to say, let's end MIQ for returning Kiwis. Then let's actually access critical workers, essential workers. And I agree with you, Jim. No point opening up to tourism having a really poor customer experience if you haven't got good staffing in place.
The National Party's two-day caucus retreat wrapped up in Queenstown this afternoon. In Queenstown, the South Today.
A restricted fire season is now in place for Otago's coastal areas between Dunedin and Waitaki, as well as the Clutha region. The change in restrictions came into effect on Monday, with Fire and Emergency New Zealand hoping to prevent scenes like this from Saddle Hill a few years ago. Venn says there's a lot of long vegetation in the area which is quickly drying out due to mostly warm summer temperatures and could provide fuel for a major fire. Otago District Manager Phil Marsh says a permit is now required to light an open fire in these areas. Things are even drier in Otago's lakes and central zones, which remain in a prohibited fire season with no outdoor fires permitted. The oldest surviving World War II veteran in the South has received a prestigious accolade to mark a significant milestone. Gore RSA life member Fred Cooper recently turned 100 years old and described receiving a rare World War I coin as a fantastic gesture.
A special coin to celebrate a special event, with a small group from the Gore RSA on hand to witness recognition for one of the dedicated members.
So what we did a while ago for when there was the centenary of the First World War, we bought 10 commemorative medal coins, and they are presented to centurions as they celebrate their 100th year in the club. So previously we had Noel Marshall, and this year it was Fred Cooper's turn.
This week, a 100-year-old World War II veteran Fred Cooper joined a select group at the Southern RSA. He was presented with a commemorative World War I coin as a gesture of thanks for a lifetime of service.
He's not the only surviving World War II vet, but he's the oldest we have at the moment. Noel Marshall was the oldest at 104, I think he made. We only bought 10 medals because to be fair, we realised we weren't going to get a lot that would reach 100. And when they do, it's quite a special occasion.
Gore RSA President Neil Bone says Fred Cooper isn't usually near his home RSA in Gore around the time of his birthday in mid-January. The club took the opportunity to honour their special life member while they had the chance. Fred Cooper said he appreciated the acknowledgement, describing the accolade as out of this world. In Gore, the South Today.
Whākene still to come on the South Today. Record duck numbers promise plenty of targets for shooters later this year, and we see how the red COVID setting has affected a specific entertainment event. See you soon.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life. Tuesdays, 7:30.
This is the big one. It's my mate John's massive annual sale, and he slashed 20 to 80% off absolutely everything store-wide.
And my mate John.
Spark your joy with jazz, the next generation from Honda.
Hi there, guess who? Do you recognise the eyes? Oh, okay, it's a haircut. Anyway, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores are carrying on as usual. Despite what's happening in the world, we have got some great stock for you. Personally, I've spent 50 years in this business, and we have some excellent supplier relationships. We've got great stock, it's hand-picked, it's here, it's on time, and it's ready for the great summer.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So, as my favourite cup says, keep calm and carry on.
Every day the team at Gillian's supports grieving families at their time of need, from answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
Hi, we're Age Concern Otago.
Age Concern Otago hosts a multitude of social activities, including interwalks.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hey, what have you got? Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent. Love it. Chicks World. Chicks World. Right.
Namaino, welcome back. A scene examination is continuing at a Heidelberg property in Invercargill following yesterday's shooting incident. 2 victims remain in Dunedin Hospital. A 16-year-old youth is in a critical condition and a 17-year-old woman is in a serious condition. Police inquiries are ongoing with witnesses and nearby residents. Police have reassured the community that they believe this was a targeted incident. They're asking anyone with information to contact police on 105 or to call Crime Stoppers anonymously. Otago bird shooters could see a bountiful harvest this season with the highest number of paradise shelducks recorded in 32 years of aerial monitoring. Monitoring by Otago Fish and Game officers recorded almost 24,000 shelducks in the region last week.
This year's duck shooting season may be a bumper year for recreational hunters if a recent count is anything to go by. The season doesn't start until May, but monitoring by Otago Fish and Game has revealed large populations in the area.
So at this time of the year, all the paradise shelduck accumulate together on about 40 sites around Otago, and we go in a fixed-wing aeroplane and go around and take high detail photographs of those particular ponds and the birds that accumulate on them.
Their aerial surveys cover large parts of the region, from the east coast right across to the Lakes District, down to South Otago and Upper Clutha, through to the Strath Tairi. Otago Fish and Game CEO Ian Hadland says covering the large area can be a mission.
Sounds all very glamorous, going around, flying around and looking at ducks and counting them, but actually looking down all the time, doing tight turns over ponds, isn't really for the faint-hearted. It's actually quite a hard yakka, and some people can get pretty crook.
While there's yearly fluctuations, Otago's paradise shelduck population has been on an upward trend over the past 3 decades. Hadland isn't surprised by the figures, with a good breeding season boosted by favourable weather, plenty of food and no major flooding.
But our trend counts give us a very good idea about what the population is doing. My suspicion is that the population is actually going up at the moment, but we'll be able to confirm that by the time we get the data out of the images and onto some paper and into our database.
Paradise shelduck molt counts have been conducted each January since 1990. That's when the ducks gather in mobs during the molting season. The population data is used to set hunting limits for the game bird season, which is set to open on the 7th of May. In Otago, the South Today.
Living life under the government's red traffic light setting has forced many events to be cancelled and has left the future of the Great Moscow Circus up in the air. The big top of the long-running travelling circus is still up in Dunedin, but crowd restrictions means it's not viable to stage shows. And that's left the livelihoods of around 50 performers and family members in limbo.
For one clown, the show can't go on. Ozzy the Clown has been performing in Dunedin at the Great Moscow Circus, but now he's uncertain when he'll perform next.
Now I don't have a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. We're becoming a little bit miserable at the moment. We're sort of stuck in Dunedin, but it's a beautiful city. I love Dunedin, a great place to be stuck into.
Ozzy and the rest of the circus is in limbo at the moment, following the government switch to the COVID-19 red light traffic setting. The circus has a community of around 50 people working or living the circus lifestyle who don't know what the future holds. With crowds limited to 100 people under the restrictions, the circus says it's not affordable to perform shows, leaving performers like Ozzy out of work.
I might stay here permanently, so if anybody needs a clown with no talent except making people laugh, I'm available. I'm here.
The circus is applying for funding from the Ministry of Culture and Heritage to help see them through. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, an all-new Southern basketball competition is COVID cancelled and an Alexandra Petanque Club is celebrating youth and tradition. Hei koko ake nei.
Livingwell Disability Resource Centre, a not-for-profit charitable organisation and your one-stop shop for information and resources to help you retain independence. We offer a wide range of assistive products from jar openers to mobility scooters and provide assessments for Total Mobility, the half-price taxi scheme. Come and see the friendly team. You'll find us on the corner of George and Bath Streets, ground floor of Burns House.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, my name's Matt and I'm the Dines Group CEO. Dines is a company that's focused on selling logistics solutions to its customers. We're passionate about selling efficiency and we've been selling efficiency for over 50 years now.
This is the big one. It's my mate John's massive annual sale and he's slashed 20 to 80% off absolutely everything store-wide. If you need furniture and beds, then get down to John's. He's got it in stock and ready for immediate delivery. Plus you can pay it off interest-free. The big one. On now at John's Furniture Warehouse, Stafford Street.
Get that furniture from Stafford Street. And my mate John.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
every season. We're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hey, what have you got? Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent. Love it. Chicks World. Chicks World.
Hoki mai noa. A major national basketball competition scheduled to be played in Invercargill next week has been cancelled. The Chic 3x3 Cup was set to bring 100 elite players to the south for men's and women's competitions in the fast-paced format. Described as basketball's biggest party, the three-day tournament had already been postponed twice due to COVID-19. It was initially due to proceed next week without spectators under red light restrictions, but with games broadcast live on Sky TV. However, Basketball New Zealand and Stadium Southland were concerned about being a super spreader event with 100 players flying in from around the country. Organisers are now aiming to host a national 3x3 basketball tournament in mid-October. Alexandra's Petanque Club has celebrated 20 years of play with an annual tournament and anniversary dinner. And among those taking part was a young Petanque player who's already travelling around the regions to compete. Members of the Alexandra Petanque Club joined together to take part in the 20th anniversary competition. The Coventry tournament began 20 years ago when members of England's Coventry Petanque Club visited and played in Alexandra. The game, like lawn bowls, is often seen as an older person's sport, but 15-year-old Jennifer Sutherland likes mixing it up with the older hands.
I just like how it's friendly competition, you can have a laugh with heaps of different players and you get to meet people from all different kinds of walks of life.
The Alexandra Club is planning to start a youth player development scheme to match ones in the likes of Dunedin. Younger players could then take part in Petanque New Zealand's national youth competition, which has been reinstated after 10 years' absence. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. There's been an increase in demand at vaccination clinics in Christchurch as another community case of Omicron is reported. The National Party has wrapped up its caucus retreat in Queenstown with the topics of immigration and tourism high on the agenda. And a 100-year-old World War II veteran has received a rare honour in Gore, which he says blew him away. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome Deputy Editor Craig Page. Kia ora, Craig.
Good evening. Good news for bike lovers around the city,
okay,
which I'm sure will upset some and delight others. The Council agreeing today to get behind the new cycleway between Dunedin and Mosgiel. That's the one they're talking about via two tunnels, a couple of tunnels between Wingatui and Caversham. Committing $11 million and really keen to get it underway as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I guess the big draw card is it does get cyclists off the road. It's an option for them for Dunedin and Mosgiel without having to battle with traffic, so that probably will please everyone. The Dunedin Trails Trust has been pushing for this for a long time, and we've had numerous stories, so they're naturally thrilled about it. But all the reaction and all the detail for tomorrow. We've got more on the death of a man who died after a ute plunged into Lake Dunstan late yesterday. Vehicle was removed today and the man's body recovered. So we talked to some of the friends of the man, and he's a bit of a character by all accounts. So yeah, a bit of a horrific accident, but create a bit of a picture of him, I guess, is what we're trying to do. Our fresh food page as well, Annabelle Langbine's big day out, focusing on Mediterranean food. So stock up the pantry with some good olive oil, not just your cheap and nasty stuff. Capers, anchovies, and a bit of Greek yoghurt, and away you go. Impressive looking recipe for zucchini and cherry tomato salads there, so it's worth clipping out and sticking on the refrigerator. And on the sporting front, New Zealand Golf Open, more bad news on that front as well, cancelled today because of COVID, scheduled to be at Millbrook late March, early July, and that was put back a month as well. So the travel restrictions just mean they can't get a quality field worth running, so better to hold off again for another 12 months. So more disappointment on the sporting front. We'll all be glued to our telly watching Super Rugby instead, I suppose.
Sure we will. Right,
Thank you.
great. Thanks very much. And time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with today's southern view, taken of a view through scaffolding on Stewart Street. Looking at the situation, it's rain everywhere essentially, with very warm and humid northerly airflow blowing over the regions tomorrow, with heavy rain on western coasts spreading to inland areas during the day and some lighter falls further east too. Expect much cold air to spread over the region from the south on Thursday. To the centres and starting off at the northwest, rain and 20 to 21 degrees. And wet in the northeast, 21 degrees in Nelson, 24 in Blenheim, the rain a little lighter here. Light showers and warm temperatures right down the Canterbury coast, Kaikoura on 24, Christchurch 26 and Ashburton up to 27 degrees. Down south now, strong northerlies carrying rain right across this region on 22 degrees. Over in central, strong northerlies and rain here too. That rain especially heavy in Wanaka and Queenstown on 23 degrees, lighter in Alexandra on 25. Further north, that heavy rain buckets down inland, Twizel and Damarama both on 23, lighter on the coast with 25 degrees, northerlies blowing right across the region. In Dunedin, rain and northeasterlies develop tonight with an overnight low of 18 degrees. Tomorrow the wind and rain's airband flow lightening towards evening, a high of 25 and a low of 14. The mercury drops on Thursday as southerly winds enter and rain persists, a high of 14 and a low of 12 degrees. And in Invercargill, rain and strong northwesterlies develop tonight with an overnight low of 17 degrees. Tomorrow rain and northerly winds ease over the day, giving way to cooler southwesterlies later on, a high of 22 and a low of 14. And it's 14, that is the high on Thursday, those southerlies making things much colder amidst cloud and showers, a low then of 11 degrees. And that's the news this Tuesday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Nō reira kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.